In the year 2011, I finally bought the PS3 after years of trying to persuade my dad. Being a stupid kid in a somewhat straight-laced household, it's pretty hard to ask for things, especially when my grades in high school were just way too tragic. So, moving on, I finally bought it. I had a bunch of friends that would lend me some games, and one of those games would be the romantic horror puzzle game, Catherine. In all seriousness, I am very picky when it comes to games. I'm not very interested in shooters or dull puzzle games. I was more inclined to games based heavily on its narrative. One of my friends would then suggest Catherine to me. I was very skeptical if I could really enjoy this game since it was basically a puzzle game. But later on, as I kept playing, it felt quite strange or bizarre with how they tell the story through a crimson-haired host and as if you were an audience in a late-night reality show or a radio show from the 80s where you talk about your struggles, specifically with the matters of the heart. When it comes to the heart, it's always been very hard for me to express things. Whenever the heart gets involved in certain situations or moments, it just makes things very complicated, which mostly ends up in decisions you would regret for a long time. I know all of us made brass decisions that to this day we are still trying to figure out what went wrong, just like our main protagonist, Vincent Brooks. Vincent Brooks is your typical lost adult who seems to be stagnant in terms of where he is at. He has a longtime girlfriend named Catherine, and they've been together since high school. She brings up settling down, because why not? But this pretty much triggers Vincent to overthink things drastically, where he actually tells her that they should just continue how they are right now. This disappoints Catherine and makes her leave. After, Vincent, feeling more lost than ever, goes back to his go-to bar called the Stray Sheep and starts coping with his troubles through alcohol. There he meets a woman named, coincidentally, Catherine, but with a C. She's young, cute, and pretty much what every guy could wish for. The two talked the whole night and had a little too much to drink. You could probably guess what happens next. When I first played the game, I was in high school, so I couldn't relate much to whatever Vincent was going through. I just felt he was a bit too generic, and I would relate more to the minor character, Teddy, and who isn't really emotionally mature. He was the youngest in Vincent's crew, which says a lot since back then in high school, I was seeking so much validation to the wrong people, and it totally made me into a complete asshole. But a few years later, as I was researching for a video, and during my revisit, I started realizing how much of a Vincent Brooks I am at this point in my life right now. I know I called him generic. He's quite dense in terms of the relationship aspect. Like being in a long-term relationship with someone and you just end up feeling really comfortable and not knowing what you really want because of the fear of starting all over again. These are a few things that I'm currently experiencing in my life. We both are too dependent on living in the moment that we end up being creatures of habit that are all in for cheap thrills and dumb conversations about how we were in the past. By being adults, we are programmed to find a girl, get married, and have babies and settle down. It sounds easy, but in fact, these are pretty scary things because of how ambiguous life gets. We strive to seek that false sense of happiness that the media lied to us about. And as we grow up and we slowly learn the truth, we become escapist whenever things get rough, which results in us being toxic, selfish assholes when it comes to relationships. We ask too much validations to our partners, but when it's time to give back, we just end up running away from them. And with that, it makes relationships very puzzling, and how the developers interpreted it through the game is incredible. In the daytime, it feels like you're in a simulation, trying to find something to remind you that you are alive. And at nighttime, that's when things get really interesting. Vincent gets stuck in a dream where he has to climb a puzzle platform mountain in order for him not to die in his sleep. This could be interpreted as the moments that actually count, which are generally fleeting quickly, and that we always have to constantly seek purpose by continuing to climb no matter how much we fail. Another thing that's interesting about the game is that it has multiple endings that gives you the freedom to choose who Vincent ends up with, whether it's his longtime girlfriend Catherine that he knows so well, or with the mysterious young girl who's also named Catherine, who you just met. And whoever you pick affects Vincent's life drastically. And these results show how emotionally mature you are to be in a relationship. And that actually makes this game great and very introspective, despite it being marketed as this adult ecchi anime game. And with the new re-envisionment of the game, called Catherine Full Body, it adds a new love interest and makes this already complicated love triangle into a love square. So that wraps this video. What do you think? Are you Team K Catherine or C Catherine? Or are you leaning more into something more new like Rin? Well, leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and don't forget to visit yugatech.com/gaming for more news, tips, and tricks. It's your boy Enzo, and stay safe.